Gil, at what point in your career do you decide homicide is where you want to be?
I can tell you right now, I had my first trainee, one of my first trainees in patrol. We're still good friends today. Art Ariano was an excellent guy. He was a good-looking young man. All the girls out there loved him. He had green eyes. They used to call him Green Eyes. And, you know, it was husky and starch. I was husky. He was green eyes. And we'd go out there. We went out there, and it was a 3 o'clock car. We're in briefing. All of a sudden, they said gunshot victim. You know, 22, you got 21, you got to handle. So we go out there to handle it, and it's at a T intersection in East Los Angeles where victim car is at the limit line, getting ready to turn right. It's a red light. There's no traffic, so he can stop and turn, but he doesn't turn. He just waits there. Well, the guy in the back, give him a little beep. Hey, wake up! You know, turn right. And the guy doesn't move. He's waiting for the red light to turn green. The guy in the back car gets up, goes and kicks his door. He kicks his door. The guy in the front car picks up a gun and goes, bam, and kills him. Light turned green and he took off. Well, it was a whodunit because the only witness we had was a lady that lived on a corner, and she only saw a very partial, limited two numbers on the license plate number. And she couldn't give us a description other than it was a male. Well, we had just gotten this yellow tape that they put around crime scene tape now. That was brand new, and we had login sheets now. So anybody going across that had to sign in and what purpose was, who you were, what you're doing. Well, our watch commander, who I really didn't care for, he was whoever he was, he came up and I said, "Excuse me, Lieutenant, you want to sign in? You know, we got these new signage." He says, "Need I remind you, Deputy, your position is Deputy, mine is Watch Commander. I don't sign nothing. And I'm going in." So he goes across the tape and he goes in there and he looking at things. Well, right behind him, here comes Barrett Fitzgerald, who was a homicide sergeant at the time. And old Barrett comes up, says, "Hello, kid. Sergeant Barrett Fitzgerald, but call me Fitz." And I said, "Okay, sir. Kill Carrillo." He said, "No, no, I said Fitz." "Yes, sir. Fitz." "Okay, Fitz, Gil Carrillo." And he says, "Okay." He says, "Tell me, what's going on? How'd you get here?" "Well, we're in a briefing, Fitz, and then they got the shots fired call, gunshot victim, and I got the handle. Rolled out here it is." He said, "Wait a minute, hold that thought. Who is that over there at my crime scene?" I said, "That's a watch commander." I said, "What's he doing?" I said, "Just looking, I guess." I tried to ask him to sign the form. He wouldn't sign the form. He reminded me of my position versus his position. And he said, "Really?" "Hold that thought, I'll be right back." So Fitz now goes inside there. Fitz walks right up to him and says, "Hello, Lieutenant. Sergeant Barrett Fitzgerald." And he didn't say, but call me Fitz. And he said, he was a sergeant. "This is Lieutenant, the watch commander." Homicide gets there. It's their crime scene. And he says, "Mind me ask you what you're doing over here?" He says, "Well, I just wanted to come and check out the crime scene and see the victim, see what was going on." He said, "Would you do me a favor?" He said, "What's that?" He says, "Check it out from the other side of that yellow tape." And the lieutenant turned beet red, turned around, stomped off, got in his car, took off. And I said, "Yes." Man, that was awesome. So that was a 3 o'clock car. I go home that night. I come back the next day. Fitz and his partner, Jack Fuglin, are still there, same suits, been working all night, never went home. They've been working the case. And I'm saying, damn, these guys are workers. And started talking to them, and I said, man, one of these days when I get older, that's what I want to be. He says, "You ever been to an autopsy?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, if you're around here when they have the post, we'll give you a call." A couple of days later, I had a court appearance. I went to my court appearance, came back, I'm in the station. I said, "Hey, kid, you're here. Want to go to an autopsy? We're going right now." Sure. They took me to my first autopsy. It was an eye-opener for me. And came back, and I just decided, man, when I grow up, that's what I want to be. That's my goal right there. These guys work as long as they have to work. There's work to be done. It's police work. They're doing good. They solved the damn case, and they got a conviction out of it. And that was all due to their hard, diligent, persistent work. And so that's what I wanted to do. So everything I did, I worked towards that, and I didn't want anything else. I was offered a job to go to Vice, and I was offered a job to go to child abuse. I couldn't take child abuse because I couldn't take a steady diet of kids because I love children, and that would have eaten me up. I couldn't go to Vice. I didn't want to go to Vice because I was afraid I'd get in trouble. So I said no. I turned them both down. They came to me. I said no, thank you. And then I found out a guy that I used to work for, he was my sergeant in gangs at East LA. He was now working headquarters gangs. He gave me a phone call. He says, hey, keep your nose clean. He says, Homicide's kicking your name around. I just heard it. And next thing I know, that was my dream job. And I didn't have enough time, I didn't think, because it takes an average back then, still does today, about 15 years to get to sheriff's homicide. I had 9.5 years. And I get a call from the watch commander at East LA. Don James called me up and says, okay, kid, your dream came through. I said, what are you talking about? He says, you're being transferred to homicide. He says, you're gone. This is it. And I said, thank you. And I screamed and I hung up the phone. The wife came running in. She says, what's on? I said, I just got transferred into Homicide Bureau. And she said, oh, that's great, because she knew that's what I wanted. She said, when do you go? I said, shit, I don't know. I forgot to ask. So I called back, and all he said was, well, fat ass, I was waiting for your phone call. He says, it's effective Sunday morning. Call up now Lieutenant Barrett Fitzgerald. He says, he'll be your new boss. I said, thank you. And I called him up. And I said, when does the transfer take effect, sir? And he says, things haven't changed. My name is Fitz. He says, it takes effect Sunday morning. I said, okay, I'll be in there 8 o'clock Sunday morning. He said, well, don't come in on Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. He said, matter of fact, don't come in here Sunday at all. We're on a day off. We won't be there. So come in on Monday. I said, okay, I'll be there Monday at 8 o'clock. He said, well, don't come in that early either. Guys will start sauntering in about 9 o'clock, 9:30. I said, okay, sir. And that was it. And that was my first day in March 23rd, 1981, my first day in Homicide.
But Gil, I think it just gets back to what we were talking about before. I mean, clearly it was your hard work, being in the right place at the right time, sort of, but it's that interaction with Fitz in the very beginning, because I'm sure he had a little bit of say.
Oh.
But even the fact that you are recognizing, I'm going to get in trouble at Vice, you have something within you that other people are seeing clearly, right?
I don't know. I'm not. I can't testify the operation of somebody else's mind.
Right.
You know, they talk. Everybody at that stage of the game, you know, when you're up there, people talk. Hey, who do you think would be a good fit? Mm-hmm. Okay, Jones over here. Nah, Jones has gotten in trouble before.
Right.
Or Jones doesn't get along with too many. Gil got along with everybody. Gil didn't have any enemies. Gil had never been in trouble. Gil was a worker bee.
But you got to Homicide essentially 10 years?
Yeah.
Which was very, very quick.
I when I first went up there, I was very intimidated. I thought, these guys are going to dump all over me because I didn't pay my dues. You know, I'm too young of a kid to get up here. And how did I do this? But conversely speaking, because I had worked gangs, some of the guys from Homicide, they'd have gang murders out there, and Dave Kushner come up and says, hey, kid, you and your partner, you take on the murder suspect first. You guys know how to talk to these people. You take them on. So take these guys on, got a cop out. And so now these guys are saying, hey, Gil and this guy, or Gil could do this. They called me up from Pico Station, talked to the watch commander, hey, can you send Gil down here? We want some help. So now they're talking about who they're going to be taking up there. So the guys amongst themselves start throwing names out. And if your name's, if they know you, they talk about you. And that's how my name had to be.
Yeah.
And I didn't hesitate. You know, back in the day, I hate that back in the day, but early on in my career, overtime, you know, wasn't a big deal. Mm-hmm. You know, if I got off at midnight and the things were going hot, you know, on a weekend, things are blazing, shots fired, calls here, calls there. Turn in your car at midnight, grab somebody else on the inside, said, come on, let's get another car, let's just go out. And you go out there and work for free.
Yeah.
It didn't matter because that was police work. That was fun stuff. So when they're calling me to help them out on a murder, you know, nobody's submitting overtime. I'm just going, man. That's fun. That's good.
Yeah.
So they're seeing that I'm not afraid to work, and I'm not asking for a lot. Well, when I went up there, I thought, man, they're gonna dump all over me because I haven't paid my dues, and the total opposite. Louis the Hat Danoff sat me down. He says, "Sit down, kid. I want to talk to you." And they called him the Hat because he looked like, one of these old time cops. He wore that whatever kind of hat they called it. I don't know but we called him Louis the Hat. And Lou just said, "I want you to learn something, kid." He says, "You're up here." He says, "You represent Sheriff's Homicide. Sheriff's Homicide has a reputation for being good, and you will keep that reputation going. Don't you dare try and do anything on your own up here because you think you're sharp. If you have any questions at all, you ask. Because if you do something that screws up a case, your ass will be gone the next day. We won't let you fall. We work as a team. We work together. You're part of us. Make us proud." So, shit, they opened their arms, and who was I to want to screw that up?
How old are you when you finally get there?
I think I was 31 years old.
31 years old. I'm assuming at that point you have seen bodies before you get to Homicide.
Oh, I'd seen bodies in Vietnam and seen bodies out on the streets.
Yeah.
So bodies didn't intimidate me.
Okay, so you're used to that.